Hey y'all, it's Dawn, and I'm so glad you're back. I've got another fun, budget-friendly DIY video for you today. This is a brand new challenge hosted by Zana from OK at Home DIY and Amanda from Anything Goes. In this challenge, we will be creating unique tier trays and decor perfect for small spaces. Right before this challenge, I was contacted by a company on Amazon, Becco. They wanted me to review an item from their Amazon store. So, I picked out this 5-tier corner bookshelf for my living room, which is a small space. I wasn't too sure about the shelf when I got it from Amazon. The box was in rough shape. But after putting it together, it was perfect. Exactly what I was wanting for this monthly challenge, and it fit perfectly in the corner. I will be using this shelf to display and showcase new and reversible decor in the months ahead. If you have been looking for something like this, I would recommend checking Becco out. I'll leave a link to the bookcase I chose in the description. Now for a few DIYs for the new bookcase. Right now, I'm using some of my favorite fall DIYs on the shelves. So if you follow me, you may have already seen some of these DIYs. I made a trip to Hobby Lobby a few days ago and found this adorable little wooden truck and was shocked to see that it was only $4.99. When I saw it, I thought of a truck filled with pumpkins. While I was at Hobby Lobby, I saw some adorable pre-made trucks and wanted mine to look similar. I used Waverly antiquing wax for the bed of the truck and the sides. I applied the antiquing wax with a paintbrush and let it sit before rubbing it off with a paper towel, because I wanted it to be a dark brown color. For the truck body, I used Apple Barrel Harvest Orange acrylic paint. This color reminds me of fall and pumpkins. Let me know in the comments what color makes you think of fall. I used a small Dollar Tree paintbrush to paint the body of the truck. For the fenders over the wheels, I originally painted them a gray color with a small paintbrush. I painted the wheels with Apple Barrel black and tried my best not to get the black paint on the other colors. Y'all know I'm a messy painter and usually wind up with paint everywhere, including on me and my clothes. When I was finished, this is what the farm truck looked like. I just don't like the fenders, so I decided to do a faux metal look on them and to the center of the wheels. To achieve this, I used Folk Art Gunmetal Gray metallic paint and a Dollar Tree makeup sponge and dabbed it onto the fenders. I used a small detail brush to apply the paint around the edges of the fenders. Next, I added some Folk Art brushed silver and dabbed it on top of the gunmetal gray. I then added Folk Art pearl white metallic paint. At this point, I started mixing the colors until I was happy with the faux metal look and painted the hubcaps on the wheels. I then went in with a detail brush and touched up all of the places on the truck that I'd gotten paint onto. Now that the truck was painted, it's time to work on the decal. I wanted to create something similar to the decal on the Hobby Lobby truck. I went into Design Space, added a square, sized it to the size I wanted the decal to cover, which was 2 inches, and changed the color to orange. I added my text, "Hello Fall," but I couldn't decide which font I wanted to use, so I went to wordmark.it. This is a free website you can use to view all the fonts on your system. I typed in my saying and hit the little arrow. I was able to see the phrase with all the fonts on my system and decided to use Abigail 2 as my font. I went back to Design Space, searched my fonts for the Abigail 2, and changed the font on both words and sized them to fit. I uploaded these leaves from a Design Bundles file I had on hand, removed what I didn't want, and placed the leaves around the words. To make it easier, I will leave a link in the description for the Design Space file I created for you. I cut the design out and applied it to the side of the farm truck. And excuse the noise in the background, but my grand dog is here again and she's playing with a toy sitting right beside me. Not exactly like the Hobby Lobby farm truck, but a close second. I added some little miniature pumpkins from my stash to the back of the farm truck, and it is perfect. Would you have done anything differently? Let me know in the comments. Okay guys, I saw this on Instagram and had to have one for myself. Y'all are going to love it. I have several of these pieces of wood in my stash. They measure approximately 5 inches by 7 inches, the perfect size for a wood book stack. The first book I painted with Waverly pumpkin chalk paint. I painted another with Waverly plaster chalk paint. And the last one I used Waverly antiquing wax. Using my Cricut, I printed out the words for the spine of the books. I have a link to the cut file for any Cricut users in the description. After cutting and weeding the vinyl, I used transfer tape to apply the vinyl to the spines of the books. I kept the books together so I was able to line up the words evenly on the spines. I applied a layer of Mod Podge to the spines of the books and to the top book to protect it. After the Mod Podge had dried completely, I used a piece of twine and wrapped it around the bottom of the book stack and tied a simple knot. I didn't glue the book stack together, so I can arrange it however I want, and I can also use the books individually. And just look at how stinking cute. This is the perfect addition for your fall decor, and it's so simple and easy to make. Let me know what you think in the comments below. This DIY is a twofer, 2 DIYs in 1. I used this Dollar Tree mug to make a pumpkin spice tier tray mug. I cleaned the mug with rubbing alcohol and a paper towel to remove all the dust and oil from the mug. I created this cut file in Design Space, cut it, weeded it, and applied it to transfer paper. I laid the vinyl on the mug, and yes, some of it didn't lay right, but I worked around it. I decided I wanted to make a topper for the mug. I traced around the top of the mug onto a piece of cardboard. I then cut the cardboard just inside of the line. I did this because I didn't want the cardboard sticking out beyond the mug. I wanted it to sit on the rim of the mug. I used a Dollar Tree styrofoam ball and cut a quarter of it off with a knife. This gave me a flat bottom on the ball. Next, I placed hot glue on the cardboard circle and placed the flat end of the styrofoam ball on top of it. I used some old Dollar Tree caulk to create the whipped cream for the topper. I would actually recommend using a new tube because the caulking will come out so much easier. I applied the caulking around the cardboard and covered the styrofoam ball. I have made toppers in the past using fresh caulking, and it was a simple process to get the ball covered. But this caulk was old and some of it was dried out, so it gave me quite a fit. I eventually got everything covered with caulk. And if you don't want your hands covered in caulk, be sure to use some gloves. And then I realized I had made a small mistake. Just remember, be sure to place some wax paper under the cardboard before you start adding the caulking. Anyway, I used a knife and not so gently lifted the topper off of the mat and placed it on some wax paper. I sprinkled some cinnamon on top and also placed some whole cloves around the topper. I added some tan Dollar Tree beads to the topper just to give it a little more dimension. I also used some of these mini pumpkins I have in my stash and stacked them on one side of the topper, and then sprinkled more cinnamon. I didn't have any cinnamon sticks, so I took one of these Dollar Tree plastic spoons that I think I got in the wedding section and cut off the spoon part. So all I was left with was the top part of the spoon. I stuck it into the caulk and part way through the styrofoam. Once the topper was dry, I brought it back in and placed it on top of the sweater weather mug. And just look at how adorable. Even though I used the old caulk, I still think it turned out pretty stinking cute. Let me know what you think in the comments. I found this frame in my stash and thought I would try using some Chalk Couture ink with it. I removed everything from the frame and then cleaned the glass with rubbing alcohol. I laid down a fuzzing cloth and placed the unused stencil on it and pulled it up. I did this 4 or 5 times. You need to do this with the stencils so they aren't so sticky when you apply them to your surface. If the stencil has been used, defuzzing it 2 or 3 times is enough. If it's new, it's recommended to defuzz it at least 4 to 5 times. I applied the stencil to the glass, rubbed it down with my hand, and used a squeegee to make sure all the air bubbles were removed and to make sure the stencil was stuck to the glass. I chose the colors I wanted to use. I will be using shimmer copper ink for the word fall and beautiful, and eucalyptus for the words in the center. Since I am working with glass, I am using Chalkology ink instead of paste. I used the eucalyptus ink first. I added some of the ink to a Chalk Couture squeegee and added a layer over the words in the middle. I scraped off the excess ink and placed it back in the jar. I didn't want the ink to dry and ruin my stencil, so I pulled it up to just below the last line of print and then laid it back down. By doing this, the ink will not dry on the stencil and cause problems. I once again used a squeegee to remove the air bubbles from around the word fall. I applied the shimmer copper to the words fall and beautiful using the same squeegee I had used before. I did clean the squeegee first. I used a thick coat to start with, and then removed the excess ink and put it back into the jar. And now for the reveal. I carefully pull the stencil up. It's recommended to pull in an upward motion and not at an angle like you do with vinyl. I set the ink using my heat gun. You can use a blow dryer if you don't have a heat gun, or you can just let it dry on its own. I found this fall scrapbook paper at Michael's and thought it would look great as the background. I laid the glass on top of the scrapbook paper, found what part of the paper I liked the most, and traced around the frame and cut it out. I placed the glass back into the frame, placed the scrapbook paper on top of it, and put the frame back together. This piece turned out so beautiful. The pictures don't give it justice. If you are interested in recreating this project for your home, I will leave a link to the Chalk Couture products you will need in the description. I think you will love it as much as I do. Let me know in the comments what you think. I got a set of these 4 leaves at a yard sale a while back and thought they would be great for this project. I got a large box of Fall Decor for $5 and these leaves were in that box. I used some fall colored scrapbook paper from Michael's to cover the leaves. I cut the paper to fit each of the leaves. I wanted the leaves to be covered on both sides, so I folded the paper in half and cut it down the middle. I added Mod Podge to both the back of the paper and to the leaf and pressed them together. I used a Mod Podge roller to remove any air bubbles and then went around the edge of the leaf with my finger and a squeegee to form a crease. With the first leaf, I went ahead and added the paper to the back, but I would suggest completing each side individually. This made removing the edges of the paper tough. I cut off the excess paper and used a finger sander around the edges. I sanded the paper in a downward motion until it was removed. By using a downward motion, I was able to get the paper to tear at the edge of the leaf. I did the same process on the other 3 leaves using different patterned paper. And just look at how cute the leaves turned out. I love all the different patterns and they look amazing on this fall tier tray. I love how all these tier tray decor items fit on the corner bookshelf, and it saves so much room because I can place all the decor items in one place instead of on several tier trays. If you found me through the playlist, thanks for watching, and I hope you will consider subscribing to our little family. If you are already a subscriber, thanks so much. Y'all are the best. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see y'all next time. Happy crafting!